What's the worst date you've ever been on? I met up with a guy from a dating app way too fast, didn't know if he even cared about my existence. He only talked about himself and there was zero chemistry. Meanwhile I felt my period coming and I was dying of pain. It was so bad that I started crying and having a panic attack, so I had to end the date and go home. My desperate ass back then was secretly hoping he would take me to my own apartment and take care of me lol and tuck me into bed. I barely knew his name and he just wished me the best lol while I had to cycle back with the blood gushing down my panties. Met a girl on a dating site. Chatted for a week or so and got along well. She invited me to her place for a date. When I get there, there's a U-Haul truck outside halfway loading up. Turns out this girl is in the middle of packing up her stuff to move to another state and wanted me to help with the heavy lifting. She hadn't mentioned any of this in our chats. Once I confirmed it was really her moving and not a friend or a roommate, I told her good luck with that and got the hell out of there. When I was younger, I went on a date after New Year, so I was low on cash and couldn't do my normal date, which is bite to eat. Girl was happy with that, so we would hang out and get coffee. We ended up going clothes shopping, not my idea, while she talked about her ex the whole time. She started talking about coming back to my house after the date but didn't take a hint. I didn't want her come back. Ended up having my mate phone me to make a fake emergency so I could get away. This guy swore he was into me but took him like a month to ask me to dinner. I get to his house and he brings his cousin with us, takes me to a titty bar, then completely ignores me and talks to a stripper all night. I never spoke to him again after that. Oh, then a different guy asked me to the movies. We drove around for an hour before the movie because he didn't make any plans before the movie started and he didn't say a word to me the whole time. Tinder date. Haven't even broken the ice yet. On way to restaurant, she says out of the blue I have herpes. Okay, I appreciate her honesty and not wasting time, but it was so jarring and literally the only tangible information I had about her at that point. A bit later I told her my profession and she said, oh yeah, they usually lack people skills. I was so uncomfortably speechless I just kept eating guacamole to have something to do. Met with this chick on Tinder. She looked good in her profile picture but when I saw her in real life she was on the heavy side, way different from her picture. I needed to get out of the date so I texted one of my buddies to call me and pretend to be my brother and ask me to go to a family event so I have an excuse to leave, and when he called me she asked if she could come along but I told her no, it's family only. Never again. Sat for 15 minutes to hear him talk about himself, work and his future plans, and then as he asked me what about you? His hand went to reach his phone and he starts scrolling. I can't stress this enough, his hand reaches his phone at the same time those words left his mouth. It felt to me like he already decided whatever I am going to say was going to be boring, so might as well multitask as I talk. Years ago a blind date set up from a friend. He picked me up wearing a sweater that Bill Cosby would have worn on the Cosby Show. 2 me out for sushi. I hate sushi. Then we met up with our friend that set us up to go see her boyfriend who was in the band at a bar. He spent the whole night ignoring me at the bar except whenever guys came over to talk to me and he'd suddenly appear, woman face palming. Nice date. Lots of pressure from everywhere to date her. Her dad was important in our town and my dad was as well. It was watched and approved by the masses. I get her home and we kiss, and not only is it not good, it is like kissing my sister, not that I know what that would be like. Broke it off. She stalked me for months. I met a cute girl at a concert. Chatted and had a good time. Got her number. I picked her up a week later. When she got in my car she smelled so bad I had to roll down the windows. She must have had a bunch of animals in the house peeing on her clothes. It was gross. She tried to kiss me and I had to nope that. Went on a date with a chick that took my phone and put a picture of her on my Snapchat. I got 20 messages almost instantly from chicks that knew her and told me to stay away. She was 2 months pregnant, didn't tell me till my friends did. That was a wild date for sure. She was very upset. Was with a dude who treated the waitress horrendously. Like used a condescending tone and talked to her like she was his personal servant or something. Also badmouthed the staff to me. Needless to say it was the first and only date. I was so grossed out and turned off. This chick, who immediately looked way different from her picture, then accused me of looking unlike my picture. She then asked if I would kiss her lol. I didn't and she drunkenly crashed into a parked car lol. I laughed all the fucking way home. There's no horror story. It's just that we both realized kind of fast that we had zero sexual chemistry whatsoever and I'd rather try to kiss a toaster than her. We could have probably been friends, but I had no desire at all to touch her. I didn't intend to find a prospect date, but I once met a guy online. We had similar interests, so I thought, heck, why not? A few days later, we met in person, and on that very first date he immediately asked what are we? Lamau. This guy that honestly was pretty gross invited me to the movies. I was zero interested in him like that. My mom made me take my sister. Anti-wingman for the win. Thanks mom. Probably the worst date ever for him, smiley face, smiley face. Tinder date with a girl who brought her better looking twin. They wanted to go on a hike. In the middle of the woods they were whispering and laughing to each other how they could murder me and no one would know. Unexpectedly she turned out to be GOP cultist and spent the evening reciting whatever talking points she heard on Fox or whatever. Not even that rat could tempt me to play along. We were sitting under a tree in a park, talking away. I felt something wet and soft bounce off my collarbone. I looked up and there was a possum in the tree. It shat on me. She emailed me a pic pre-Tinder time. She looked nothing like her pic, it was that bad. I straight up told her that I don't date liars and left. He took me to an archery range and I wore short sleeve shirt and they ran out of armbands. It was so painful. On the way to dinner he stopped at this shitty apartment complex to sell his Adderall so he had money to pay for the date. Tinder date. She pulled out her iPad and started introducing me various insurance plans she is selling. The one who kept staring at his phone basically the whole time.